Iran launched a new wave of Operation True Promise 3 missiles against the Israeli state. The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement building in Los Angeles, currently occupied by the Marines, following protests against the Trump administration immigration crackdown. An Argentinian federal judge approved house arrest for former President Cristina Kirchner, keeping her from the obligation to appear before the Comodoro Pi courts Wednesday to comply with her 6-year prison sentence. Hello and welcome to From the South, from the headquarters of teleSUR English in Havana, Cuba. My name is Pablo Micheliche. We begin with the news. Stay with us. Iran launched Tuesday a new wave of attacks against Israel as part of its True Promise 3 operation. During the 11th wave of attacks, new failures in the Israeli Iron Dome air defense system was reported, as well as direct missiles hit on targets in Tel Aviv. The strikes triggered again air raid sirens in Israel's capital and occupied Jerusalem. The Iranian media highlighted that the armed forces launched more than 100 hypersonic missiles from the province of Fars. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard had announced earlier that it had attacked the Zionist entity's military intelligence center known as Amman, another key infrastructure of the Zionist entity. Israel reports fires in the city of Haifa after Iranian missiles hit the region. The impact of the missiles from Tehran's Operation True Promise 3 reportedly triggered explosions and fires in the port city overnight, which have continued during the day, affecting buildings and vehicles. In this context, Israeli security personnel rescue teams keep inspecting and cleaning the buildings and areas impacted. Iran stated that it is exercising its right to self-defense against the war crimes perpetrated by Israel. At the 78th UN plenary meeting, Iranian Representative Amir Sayed Iravani explained that the Zionist regime mainly attacks residential areas, contrary to the Israeli narrative of carrying out surgical strikes without collateral damage. Iravani emphasized that Israeli bombings have resulted in 1,481 Iranians killed and wounded, including children. Given this situation, he emphasized that the Iranian armed forces have escalated their bombings against strategic targets in occupied territories, concentrating their attacks mainly on Tel Aviv and Haifa, two of Israel's most important military centers. And regional media reported that explosions have been heard during the early hours of Wednesday morning in some areas of the Iranian capital, Tehran. In addition, it was reported that air defenses are facing Israeli offensive in the city of Mashhad. Shortly after such reports, the Israeli Defense Forces communicated that the Hebrew country is carrying out a series of attacks in the area of Tehran. The offensives came after the IDF threatened to bomb Tehran's 18th district, a densely populated area near Mehrabad Airport and the Aerospace University, and urged civilians to evacuate the area immediately. Nobel Peace Prize winner Mohammad El-Baradei condemned Tuesday the Israeli attacks on Iran's nuclear facilities and considered them a violation of international law. In a statement posted on X, El-Baradei, who in 2005 won the International Award for his efforts to prevent nuclear energy from being used for military purpose, warned also that the assault on Iran was a sure way to destroy the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, and that it sends a clear message to many countries that their ultimate security is to develop nuclear weapons. And the president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, called for peace in the face of the Zionist attacks that triggered the conflict in the Middle East and called on those who have the means for war to seek peace immediately.
I said yesterday, and I ratify it today. I make a call to the countries that want peace. I make a public call, from the most authentic spirit of Simón Bolívar and Hugo Chávez, and of the people of Venezuela, that on time we stop Netanyahu's madness. They did not stop him before, and today Netanyahu, like Hitler of the 21st century, is leading the Middle East, Western Asia, all of Asia, and the world, to a war of fatal consequences for humanity. I make a call to those who have political power in that place of the world, to those who have means for war, to seek peace immediately, and to stop the criminal attacks of the Zionist army, of the Zionist state, and of Netanyahu against the noble people of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Stop the violation of international law that guarantees peace, coexistence, and harmony.
On Monday, U.S. President Donald Trump abandoned G7 summit being held in Canada. Sources claim that the group's inability to take a stand on the Iranian issue angered the Republican leader, who did not wait for the final declaration. In his hasty return to Washington, Trump ordered 10 million Iranians to abandon Tehran. The U.S. president said to be in talks with the Persian nation to return to the dialogue table, reporting that he will charge businessmen Steve Witkoff and Vice President J.D. Vance to reach a good agreement. However, on Tuesday, he assured on his social media that he was not seeking dialogue with anyone and recommended once again that Iran prepare for the worst. While Iran continues international dialogue to explain the tensions and seeks the intervention of the United Nations in pursuit of a diplomatic solution to the conflict, the President of the United States continues to send confusing signals regarding the future of nuclear talks. Below are some of his statements made in less than 24 hours. On his social media, he declared that Iran is not winning this war with Israel, urging Tehran to seek dialogue before the situation escalates. However, this statement seems to ignore the complexity of the conflict and the reality on the ground, where tensions between the two countries have reached alarming levels. Washington's capacity to intervene in any conflict is becoming increasingly weak and unlikely. The U.S. President called for the immediate evacuation of Tehran. He assumes he has the right to decide whether or not Iran can use nuclear energy for the benefit of its people. However, no one seems to take him seriously. Trump wants the highest-ranking Iranian figures to be present at the agreements, but few in Tehran trust him. The president said that J.D. Vance, Vice President of the United States, and Steve Witkoff, Special Envoy for the Middle East, will contact the Persian teams. However, on Tuesday, he assured on his social media that he was not seeking dialogue with anyone and recommended once again that Iran prepare for the worst. And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates and much more. We will be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Thousands of people demonstrated in Finland's capital on Tuesday against the massacre committed by the State of Israel on the Palestinian people in Gaza. The demonstrators took to the streets of the capital city, Helsinki, demanding an immediate end to the Zionist aggressions in the occupied territories of the Gaza Strip. During the event, the protesters waved Palestinian flags and chanted slogans in support of the people in Gaza and against the Israeli genocide. The rallies take place in the midst of the escalation of aggression that Tel Aviv is carrying out against the countries of the region with the support of Western powers. Citizens in England shut down the Lockheed Martin U.S. arms factory to demand the company to stop arming the Israeli regime. Dozens of English people took part in the initiative as part of their solidarity with the Palestinian people. The U.S. company is known for manufacturing the F-35 warplanes that the occupation forces used to bomb the Gaza Strip. Also on Monday, citizens gathered in the district of Üsküdar in Turkey to express their strong rejection of the Israeli government's genocidal policies against the Gaza Strip. The event was organized by 6 political parties ranging from the left to the right, in which speakers urged the Turkish government to take a stronger stance against the genocide of the Palestinians and Israeli aggression towards Iran. Attendees proposed the creation of a peace force to break the siege in Gaza, while others demanded that President Recep Tayyip Erdogan not only criticize Netanyahu but also confront U.S. President Donald Trump.
We must stop this war. We have to speak to them in a language they understand, because in the long run they will attack us too. Israel will not leave us alone, nor will its allies, the United States and the United Kingdom, which are like a single nation.
We are here to support Gaza. We are supporting Al-Quds in Gaza. We will always be here. We will live without freedom until they are free. And I am sure that we will see their liberation.
The government of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela called for the cessation of the Israeli occupation during the United Nations General Assembly session. On his keynote address, the Venezuelan Foreign Minister Iván Gil denounced the complicity of the Trump administration with the actions of Israel. The senior diplomat grounded such claim in the fact that at the last UN Security Council meeting on June 4, 2025, Washington cast a negative vote on a non-member country's proposal to stop immediately the ongoing genocide in the Palestinian territory. The minister further ensured that the U.S. veto undermined peace, security and stability in the Middle East region, giving the Israeli regime the opportunity to maintain its campaign of violence in the occupied territories of the Palestinian people.
President, the situation on the ground is beyond critical. The conditions for millions continue to deteriorate day on day. We renew our most serious concern about the catastrophic consequences, including in the humanitarian domain, resulting from the ongoing brutal Israeli military operation and the crimes committed to date by the occupying power against the Palestinian people. In the Gaza Strip, we are witnessing what can only be described as a collapse of the most basic norms of international law and international humanitarian law. Over 55,000 Palestinians, the vast majority of them civilians, including women and thousands of children, have been killed.
We move on to other topics. From Los Angeles, outside the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement building, our collaborator Abraham Marquez tells us details about the current situation in Los Angeles following the protests against the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Let's see.
Hey, what's up everyone? Abraham Marquez. I'm here in downtown LA at the Federal Building, where you can see behind me that the Federal Building is still currently being occupied by the United States Marines. And just on the other side, as you can see, there's people here that still show up every single day to protest, to hold a sign, to chant in solidarity with our undocumented community that is being attacked by the Trump administration. People are protesting every single day, and there's bypassers who pass by here every day to honk, show their support and their solidarity with the undocumented community. The government is spending over $150 million by deploying the Marines here to occupy this building and to occupy the city, which is nothing but a fear tactic to scare people into getting involved or to do something about these ISIS raids. And the people are saying that they're not going to stop, that they're going to continue to protest, they're going to continue to come out and support the undocumented community.
In the context of the U.S. government crackdown on immigration, political and social activists, as well as regular citizens, gathered outside the ICE headquarters to protest the deployment of the military and the Trump administration policies.
This is Gary Inky, and I've been here for over a week. This is the start of my second week here, and I'm here in support of my immigrant brothers and sisters in the community, and I'm here to protest the unlawful deployment of the military to the state of California and the attempts of the
Now in Venezuela, 135 migrants arrived after being deported from the United States as part of the Back to the Homeland plan promoted by the national government. The 33rd flight of the humanitarian plane arrived at the Maiquetía airport, carrying mostly children. Thanks to the government's diplomacy, Venezuelans who have been victims of U.S. anti-immigration laws continue to arrive. They are being assisted by a deployment of security forces who provide them with comprehensive care and where their human and civil rights are guaranteed and respected. The Bolivarian government and the people continue to denounce the situation in order to bring back the more than 250 Venezuelans who are being held hostage in El Salvador. Indonesian authorities raised the eruption alert to the highest level following Laki volcano unleashed 10,000 meters of thick grey clouds on Tuesday afternoon. As precautionary measures, officials warned that the danger area could broaden 8 kilometers from its crater. Indonesian Geology Agency has reported 50 volcanic activities in just 2 hours. The ashes from Laki volcano expanded into a mushroom-shaped ash cloud that could be noticed from the cities located 90 to 150 kilometers from its epicenter, Mount Lewotoli. In this context, authorities say no casualties had been reported so far. However, they urge residents to be vigilant about torrential rains, which could trigger lava flows in rivers coming from the volcano. And we have a second short break coming up before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you will be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Financial break, don't go away. Welcome back. An Argentinian federal judge approved Tuesday the house arrest to former President Cristina Kirchner, keeping her from the obligation to appear before the Comodoro Pi courts Wednesday to comply with her 6-year prison sentence. The judge's ruling establishes a series of restrictions for the former president, such as the use of an electronic anklet and that she must refrain from adopting behaviors that may disturb the tranquility of the neighborhood and or alter the peaceful coexistence of its inhabitants. The decision only allows the access to Fernández's home without judicial permission to family members and the lawyers who represent her. The restrictions also limit the popular demonstrations that have been taking place in front of Fernández's home. The Colombian Senate plenary session resumes this Tuesday with the fourth and final debate on labor reforms, with 12 articles still pending discussion. The Senate has approved 62 articles of the bill so far, with 12 remaining, including the most sensitive ones relating to hiring, working hours, micro-businesses, and social security. Meanwhile, workers are demanding that parliamentarians stop legislating behind the people's back and pandering to the corporate class in the final debate on this reform. Otherwise, they will take to the streets for a popular vote. Colombian President Gustavo Petro assured that an agreement on labor reform with the Senate will be based on not backtracking on the consensus reached in the House of Representatives.
Teniendo como escenario la Plaza de Bolívar en Bogotá,
With Bolivar Square in the capital as the backdrop, the country's labor unions and social organizations held a national rally demanding improvements in labor policies for workers who are being harmed by a reform agreed upon by legislators from the opposition parties, currently being processed in the Senate.
Por lo general, la característica de este Senado, sus bancadas mayoritarias.
In general, the characteristic of this Senate and its majority benches of the traditional parties has been to legislate behind the back of the Colombian people. And today it has the opportunity to ensure that those 19 articles and what the government has proposed as red lines and more than red lines, non-negotiable aspects negotiable because they are the heritage of the Colombian trade union movement of workers, and we do not want crumbs. We do not want a labor reform that is piecemeal.
El descontento de los trabajadores ante la posibilidad de que sus derechos no sean
Workers' discontent at the possibility that their rights will not be recognized has led them to mobilize and make their demands visible in the face of what they consider to be a counter-reform by pro-business legislators. 79% of the articles have already been approved, with the pending points for discussion representing the most critical issues such as the night work regime, exceptions for micro-enterprises, remuneration for mandatory days off, and apprenticeship contracts, among other issues that workers are calling for close attention.
llaman los trabajadores a prestar toda la atención.
Hay tres absolutamente inadmisibles.
There are three absolutely unacceptable proposals that have been put forward by the oligarchy parties in the Senate plenary session.
El contrato por horas que acaba con la estabilidad laboral, así diga otro artículo.
Which is the hourly contract that ends job security, even though another article states that indefinite contracts will be the norm, the social protection floors that end the minimum wage level.
Acaban con el nivel mínimo del salario mínimo, cosa que no estamos de acuerdo. Y la jornada laboral,
which we do not agree with, and the weekly working hours of 4 for 3, 4 days of work for 3 days of rest, which implies exhausting 11-hour working days and which eliminates overtime.
11 horas, y con lo cual acaban con las horas extras.
Mientras, al interior del Congreso, los parlamentarios
While inside the Congress, members of Parliament began the plenary session after 1 p.m. and addressed the agenda related to the vote and discussion of the articles that complete the labor counter-reform. Expectations were growing outside, and both workers and political sectors of the coalition were joining the alternative of a popular consultation as a way to secure labor rights in the face of the possible approval of an article that blurs the essence of the reform that was initially proposed.
de la reforma que se planteaba inicialmente.
A la altura de hoy, faltando pocas horas,
As of today, with only a few hours to go, the card is more or less cut, although the people continue to pressure. Here is a very important rally of young people and workers who have come to hold a sit-in, and it is happening all over the country. The president's firmness in putting the popular consultation on the horizon, I think, explains what is happening there.
popular, creo que explica lo que está ocurriendo allá.
Los trabajadores y demás sectores que se han sumado a estas actividades exigen
Workers and other sectors that join these activities demand that parliamentarians stop legislating behind the people's backs and bowing to the business class in the final debate on this reform. Otherwise, they will take to the streets for a popular consultation.
para la consulta popular. Hernán Darío Tobar Gaitán, TeleSUR, Bogotá, Colombia.
And with that story, we have come to the end of this news brief, but remember you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net, and you can also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, my name is Pablo Michelich. Thank you for watching.